Da, 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 da. Good, good morning and happy Thursday. The cat is attacking the screen. 41 degrees this morning. He gads. So I watched The Blind Side last night. It is one of my wife's favorite movies. And, it's amazing about the movie is not only is it Michael Orr's real story, which is incredible that somebody comes from those type of beginnings that ends up a professional football player, but the guy that plays Michael Orr in the movie, his real life story is even worse than Michael Orr's story, and yet he ends up in a blockbuster movie in Hollywood and ends up a very successful Hollywood actor. Do circumstances matter? Of course. People in different circumstances have much different opportunities. I mean, even I, growing up in small town in a small high school, the opportunities that I had were significantly different than the opportunities that my best friends had. Yet, time and time again, we can show examples of people who have all of the opportunities. They have all of the education. They have all of the abilities. They have the family support, but yet they still don't make their life work. And then there's people who have none of that. They had none of the opportunities. They had none of the family support. They didn't have significant abilities. They didn't have any way to get to the outcomes that they were looking for, and yet they figure out how to make it there and how to make their lives work. It's not your circumstances that decide where you go. It's your attitude that decides where you go. The way that you approach everything, the tenacity with which you approach everything is going to decide where your life is going to end up. And it's not your circumstances that are going to decide that. Especially if you're seeing this, especially if you got one of these, especially if you live in North America. The difference between those that make it and those that don't is rarely circumstances. It's rarely ability. It's almost always drive. It's almost always hunger. Did Michael Jordan have some natural abilities? Well, yeah, of course he did. But did he have more natural abilities than everybody else that was drafted the year that he was drafted? No. Did he have more natural abilities than everybody else in the pros? Did he have more natural abilities than even half the people that played college when he played college? No. What did he have? He had a drive, and he had a larger vision. He had a desire to become the best ever and to make Chicago a franchise like Boston and like LA. And hence, he ended up in that situation. Did Bill Gates and Steve Jobs have tremendous opportunity? They did. They were at the right place in the right time in a unique circumstance. But they also had unbelievable drive. So if they'd been born 10 years earlier or 10 years later, they probably wouldn't have been the CEO of the companies that they ended up. But they would have been CEO of some company, and they would have been ultra successful because they have the drive and the vision to do that. So it may not have been that Bill Gates ended up the richest man in the world, but he probably would have ended up one of the richest people in the world just because that was his vision. And Steve Jobs, his vision to put a dent in the universe, no matter what his circumstance was. And remember, he was adopted and then returned and then readopted. And his parents had he came from a very lower middle class, regular family. He didn't have any super significant special circumstances other than he happened to be born at the right time with regards to computers and in the right location in Southern California. Beyond that, everything came from his internal drive. So a lot of times we get wrapped up in we don't have the opportunities that other people do. This is the time one. I don't have the time. I don't have the time that everybody else has. Jeff Bezos has raised a bunch of children while he's still become the wealthiest person on the planet. So has Elon Musk. So one thing that is level in the entire playing field is time. Everybody has the same amount. That's the one thing that's always even. So when we say, I don't have time, we're complaining about the one thing that everybody has the same opportunity with. Different people have different intelligence, they have different abilities, they have different money behind them. Time's the one thing that's consistent. But at the end of the day, it's not our circumstances that decide where we end up. And in fact, most of the time, the people that end up on top came from harder circumstances than everybody else. It's our drive. It's our desire. It's how hungry you are. The people that are the most significantly successful are the ones that are also the most hungry. So have a great Thursday. Tomorrow's going to be a rerun. I'm taking the bride somewhere for her birthday, a little delayed birthday thing. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Have an awesome day. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.